So, hi everybody, welcome to our first ever Ave Alumni Happy Hour. Cheers. Also, we are recording this so everybody knows, and it will be posted on Facebook at some point. Most of you know this, but hi, I'm Paula Shute, and I'm the program manager for Alumni Relations. We are also here, joined today, speaking with us, Chris Fahey, alumnus, class of 2014, and member of AMU's Board of Trustees, and Clare Eckard, class of 2017, admissions counselor, one of the friendliest, if I'm allowed to say that. But before we get started with anything else, I'm going to go ahead and say an alumni prayer that myself, Father Rick on campus, and the Alumni Leadership Council helped to create. So, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we praise you for your Son, Jesus Christ, and our Mother Mary. We thank you for the gifts we received at Ave Maria University and ask that you help us to use all our gifts for the glory of your kingdom. We thank you for the people you brought into our lives during our time at Ave, who showed us your love in so many beautiful ways. We ask that you send your Holy Spirit to guide and protect us, along with all the students, faculty, and staff of Ave. Help us all to become more faithful disciples with hearts open to the peace and joy that you alone can give. Amen. Amen. So awesome. So I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more in depthly, and then Claire and Chris will also give a brief introduction of themselves, and then we're going to dive into some updates for you all. And on a logistics note, like I said, we won't be turning on the mics until the question and answer portion, but feel free to have your videos on or off, or if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will get to them at the end of all of our sessions. So like I said, my name is Paula Shute. I'm the program manager of Alumni Relations, an Ave alumna, class of 2016, psychology major, Shakespeare and performance minor. I started in June, this past June, after graduating with my Master of Letters in Shakespeare and Performance, super weird degree, I know, from Mary Baldwin University. While I was getting my master's, I was also working in Mary Baldwin's alumni office. And then this opportunity came up and I applied, and here I am today. So some of the things I've been working on since I started have been updating alumni records, working on figuring out the best ways to engage our alumni, keeping you all informed about everything happening at the university. But I really do want to hear back from all of you and from your friends about what you all want so that I can serve you in the best ways possible. So yeah, that's my hope, to just be able to grow alumni relations with my team as best as we can and to bring Ave alumni back together. So on that note, Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for me, please?
Sure. Thank you, Paul, and thanks for putting this together. So Chris Fahey, class of December 2014, so I walked in 2015, economics major and literature minor, and I'm joined here by my beautiful wife, class of 2016. Like a few other alumni, I met my bride at school, and she was a music major, and we just found out we're expecting our first.
Woo!
Joining the class of 2042.
Woo! Woo!
So excited for that. I currently work up in Bonita Springs in personal wealth management for Edward Jones, and it's my I'm fortunate enough, and it's my honor to represent the 2,500 alumni on the board of trustees, which is essentially the governing body of the university. They get together 3 to 4 times a year to review the university bylaws and to just uphold the mission of the school. So excited to be here. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and questions and just creating a nice open dialogue with our fellow alumni. Thanks, Paula.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Claire, your turn.
Yes, I'm Clare Eckard. My 2 older sisters you may know, Cecilia Eckard and Mary Eckard. There's a 3rd Eckard here. Now we have Grace. She's a freshman. I didn't want to follow my sisters, but the Lord works, and this university changed my life, deepened my faith, as I'm sure you all experienced. And I studied politics, absolutely loved it. but didn't feel called to go into that career. Actually spent 3 months in Israel after graduation with 2 other fellow alumni, Taylor Bain and Chris DeClean. And it was the most amazing time. And during that time, Father Anthony, the community of the Beatitudes, who is leading our trip, encouraged us not to make plans for afterwards as an act of faith in God. And that radically impacted my life. I came back with no plans, and God orchestrated me to come back to Ave, which never would have been a part of my plans, but I'm so glad to be able to give back to this university that impacted me so much. So I'm excited to be here with you all tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Claire. So I'm going to go ahead and go first, and I will be talking about 3 aspects of alumni relations right now at AMU. So I'm going to be talking about events, volunteering, and stewardship. And again, I know your mics aren't on right now, but please, if you think of a question, put it right there in the chat, and we will get to it after the session. So like I said, I'm going to be talking about events, volunteering, and stewardship. Chris and Claire, please chime in if you feel the urge. I'm going to give a quick overview of some of the events we have planned for the year, barring any COVID changes. So 1, events. So the next events for alumni coming up is going to be homecoming. We hope, capital H hope, this event will be able to happen as planned, but we are of course planning for backup plans in case COVID changes anything. And homecoming will hopefully, I'm saying hopefully like 10 times, be the first weekend in November. There will be specifically an event just for alumni. So this past November, we had about 40 alumni out there cheering our football team on. We had good food, an open bar, the most important part, you know. And it was really beautiful, and I would love if we could get double that number this November. That is my hope. Good game, good food, good people, good support for our students. I don't think there's anything much better than that. And then a few months after that, we have the scholarship dinner. It will be in February. More details will be forthcoming. We are in the process of re-envisioning the scholarship dinner. But it'll be a beautiful time still to come support your fellow Gyrenes, engage in a beautiful evening, dress up, be sophisticated, show Ave pride. It's an awesome night. Shout out to Katie Eads, Dales Race, who just planned the last one. I don't know if she's still sitting there. And then about a month and a half after that, we have reunion. It is scheduled to be March 26th through 28th of 2021. So also put in the chat what you are interested in seeing at reunion, because we want to hear what you want. The hope is to finally make Are You Smarter Than a Freshman actually happen. We would love to also party at another Annunciation party, hopefully with fireworks, hopefully with Scythian, and have some alumni prayer time, wine time, fun time, and all that good stuff. So keep your eyes peeled for a save the date. And for more talk about other events, please make sure we have your updated contact information. I'm going to say that about 3 more times by reaching out to me via email, which I am putting in the chat now, or my office phone, and I'll type that in a little bit. Thank you, Katie or George. Scythian, yes. So yes, please keep us updated, and we will keep you updated. It's a beautiful circle of life we live. So those are some of the upcoming events. The next thing we are going to be looking at is ways for alumni to volunteer. One of the first projects we're working on is something called the Welcome Them Home Project. You'll get more information as soon about this project. If you're on Facebook, you would have seen a little coming soon thing about it. And we will be collecting letters to create a booklet that we're going to give the incoming freshmen. And it'll be letters written by alumni to their freshmen selves with advice, encouragement, a few inside jokes, good stuff. And so this project is in hopes of creating a connection between past and current generations of Aves, and also just to give the freshmen a boost of confidence and encouragement, knowing that there are successful and joyful alumni that have walked where they walked. So you will be seeing information about that project very soon. The next volunteer thing we'll be looking into is we want to do a career fair next year. This is very tentative right now, but if you would be interested in contributing, please, again, send me an email. And Chris, I'm sure you probably have something to say about this. Why don't you take it away, Chris?
Yeah, so that's something that we did for the football program. For those of you who don't know, I helped start the program back in 2010. So that was kind of a passion for me, was to give back to the program in some way. And so I heard this idea from college that does it very successfully up in Hartford, Connecticut. And so basically what we did is last year I brought back 22 alumni to come talk to the current football players. So what it looked like is we first did a panel presentation. I had four guys on the panel, a teacher and a football coach, someone in the medical field, an attorney, and someone in the business world. And so I was the moderator for the panel, and I just kind of asked them questions so that the players got to hear from 4 or 5 people who were sitting in their shoes, taking the same classes, learning from the same professors just in the past couple of years, and now out in the working world. So, how did that transition work? What was your experience? How did applying to jobs, what did that look like? So imagine if, when we were at the university, imagine if we had alumni that we could have talked to who were sitting in our shoes, years before us. So that was the first half of the session. The second half, we went over into the ballroom in the student union building, and we had each of the 22 alumni at different tables. And so then the players all filed in, and they got to walk in and pick a table. For example, John Madden, he was the class of 2015. He was a history major, had it on his little name card on the table. And now he's an attorney. So, what was that like? I'm considering going to Ave Law School. I'd like to talk to John. And so it was kind of a speed dating concept where all the players got to come in and spend a couple minutes at each different table to learn, from folks, again, who were sitting in their shoes just a few years earlier, and to, pass ideas for resumes and business cards, and just hear different feedback from folks who were out in the world. So what we're looking forward to doing is opening that up to all alumni and to all students. Because again, imagine if we had that when we were at school, but we're in a position now to create that for the future students, and hopefully this can go on definitely.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so if you are interested in getting involved with that, and again, that'll be next year sometime, please shoot me an email or reach out to people that you think might be interested in working with us on that. And on that note, if you follow us on Facebook, you would have seen probably some posts about us reaching out to alumni that work in places that are hiring right now, so that we can help out the 2020 graduates with everything going on right now. So that's one of the other ways that you can get involved. If you know of anyone that's hiring that might be interested in an awesome, please let me know, and I will connect with Career Services and connect all the appropriate people to help out our class as they figure out the world in all of this craziness. And also, another thing we've been working on are AMU newsletters. And I would love to have more articles written by alumni for our future ones. Phil Campbell, he was a graduate from 2005, wrote in one of our last newsletters an article about beauty, and it was awesome. I'm open to ideas for future pieces, but yeah, any of your writers, artists, professors, all that, send stuff my way. We sent out 3 newsletters to about 10,000 lifetime donors, 1 to Parent Lifetime, and 1 to our beautiful alumni. We love showing you off, so if you have any interest in that, send things my way again. And I don't think I can really talk about volunteering without talking about prayer. Because if you don't have time right now, for whatever reason, to participate in any of these activities, please send us your prayers. Please pray for the staff and faculty and alumni and current students. We're all part of the body of Christ, and we can always definitely use more grace and more prayers. So thank you for those. So those are some of the volunteer things we've been working on. And the third thing I wanted to talk about was stewardship. We just created a new Divine Mercy Scholarship, and what it is a scholarship funded by alumni, and it goes to rising seniors to help kind of ease that transition for the last year. And Mike, stop laughing.
And I'm happy reading right now.
What'd you say?
He's got to be laughing at Matthew eating, right?
Probably. Hi, Matthew. Okay, I got distracted. So, stewardship, Divine Mercy Scholarships. This year we raised over $5,000 from alumni. So we were able to award $5,000 scholarships to rising seniors. And in their immediate replies to my announcement, one of the recipients said in all caps, "Praise God. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity and your charitable gift. I will not let you guys down. If there's anything I can do, just let me know." End of his quote. So thank you to all the alumni that donated to that. We're going to be reaching out for this fund in December again this year during Giving Tuesday to continue this ongoing support of the current students. And the second stewardship opportunity is the Bring Them Home appeal. It should have landed in your mailboxes if we have your updated information, either this week or next. It will be landing this week or next week. But we are still looking to support our students so that those that are financially burdened right now with everything going on can still come home to AMU in the fall. And with that, those are our events, volunteering, and stewardship opportunities. So as your Alumni Relations Program Manager, that's the information I have for you today. Chris and Claire also have some updates for you. So Chris, why don't we start with you? Take it away.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks, Paul. So 3 updates I wanted to share is 3 things that I thought to myself, if I was going to speak, what would I want to hear about? So the 3 things I picked were, what's the same at Ave? What's changed or improving? And where are the opportunities? So kind of cover those 3 things. So first, what's the same at Ave? The Catholic identity of the school. And it is absolutely unbelievable when I hear about the new mass times. They're offering mass in Xavier Hall, and it's just packed with students every single day. The availability of the sacraments, like confession. For me, now that I'm out working, there is one time between Monday to Friday, outside of 9 to 5, that I can make it to confession, and it's Lehigh Acres, Florida, 7 p.m. And just the availability of the sacraments at the school it's absolutely unbelievable. Obviously, they have to be a lot more careful right now with the health concerns until that's over with. But again, the Catholic identity is absolutely alive and well. The students, the joy in the students. I mean, I think if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times. There are just so many good people at Ave. When we were there, the friends that we made, that is absolutely the same. The board knows this. The high school students that are visiting, the transfer students that are coming to look at the school, they recognize it. You'll hear a little bit about that from Claire in a couple minutes, but the students who come and spend an overnight visit, over 2/3 of them end up committing to the school. And by the way, classes will be open on campus in the fall. So that was some pretty exciting news. I see some applause out there. We made the decision was made that classes will be held on campus with the option to pivot to online as needed, but the safety precautions are there. And obviously, health is the #1 priority, but we will be open for classes in the fall. And the commitment to service, that's the last thing that's the same at Ave. There were over 5,086 hours of community service by students last year. And that's only growing. Shout out to Michael O'Donnell on the call, director of the Mother Teresa Project, doing an outstanding job just extending the presence and the service of our students at the school. So those are kind of 3 aspects of that Ave is the same Ave that we know and love. What's changing? You may have heard that we have a new president. And there was an extensive search. The search committee narrowed down a big pool of applicants to one person. And I actually was able to be in the room when he presented to the board, when he first spoke to the board. And I got chills. I mean, I got chills when he spoke. He has such a devotion to our mother. He has such a strong big Catholic family. And he just is laser focused on Tom Monahan's mission for the school, get as many people to heaven as possible. And I gotta say, I had chills when he spoke, and it was just like, our prayers were answered. We got the right person at the right time. So super excited to have him. And we got a new VP of marketing and a new VP of advancement. So their job is to make sure that we're not keeping the bushel basket on Ave's light, that we're taking that off, letting our light shine, and getting our presence out there. Quick update on athletics. We're actually the leader among our competitor schools in integrating the Catholic faith into athletics on campus. So at competitor schools, at other Newman Guide schools, they have to convince the athletic director to integrate the Catholic faith. That's not the case at Ave. We are the leader in this category. Some examples, there are team masses, team retreats. There's a prayer intention board in the coaches' offices that players can come in and write their prayer intentions on, and their coaches and their teammates are praying for them. Just so incredible. They're required to be at the speakers on campus. Community service and team-led Bible studies are just some examples of the massive improvements in athletics. Also, there were over 98 athletes named to the dean's list. So academics are obviously growing, and the success of the teams too shows in the records of the teams. The last thing for what's changing is some of the online programs that we're offering. Still the bread and butter of the school is the Ave experience, being on campus, beautiful sunny Southwest Florida, seeing all the joy-filled students that you get to go to class with, go eat at the student union with. But what we're offering is kind of expanding some options online. There's an online MBA in theology, an online master's, and an online undergrad degree in business as well. So just kind of expanding that reach and offering a number of online programs. That's a little bit about, and you'll hear more from that, an exciting program for future law students from Clare too in a couple minutes. So that's, what's the same and what's changing. Last thing is, where are the opportunities? So quick update with this, with the virus. The health of the students is the #1 priority. I was just on campus on Friday, and it seemed like every 20 feet there was another, sanitized station, another Purell station. So health is our #1 priority. The school is going to be going to ensure that there's enough protective equipment for all the students and enough, Purell to go around. It's ready to convert back to online if it has to pivot back there, heaven forbid something happens. And some changes were made to kind of tighten the belt financially to get us through this slowdown in the economy and in the revenues, to get us through to the other side when this is all behind us. So just to kind of wrap up, I go back to what Paul and I talked about earlier with building that connection with alumni. And the biggest thing is, imagine if we had alumni that we could have turned to when we were in school, that we could have called or texted or reached out to on Facebook, who could have helped us out with, not just being a mentor, but maybe even, helping point in the right direction for an internship or a potential job opportunity. So just building that network of not necessarily, writing big checks. Hopefully you can do that too to the school, but just giving of your time to be able to mentor the students. What we're working on is just to build that connection that we would have benefited tremendously from if we had when we were in school. So just looking to continue to grow the school, to reach more folks, just like every single one of us on the call. I'll share just a quick story. Mr. Monahan stopped me on Friday and shared, if you have 6 kids and they all have 6 kids, some might go into, religious life, and, they all have kids too. He said, you could be alive looking at a family of 300 Catholics. So imagine that, the impact that we have coming out of such a great university, the impact that we can have on the world if just by sharing the school, sharing your story. So again, it's an honor to represent everyone on the call, on the board, and looking forward to taking some questions at the end. But with that, I'll turn it over to Claire for a enrollment and marketing update.
Hello, yes. Thank you, Paula. Thanks for all that you're doing to connect alumni, and thanks, Chris, for all that great information and representing us. Chris has highlighted how from the top Ave's mission is as vibrant as ever. So I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek as to how from the bottom, from admissions, we're carrying out the mission with more energy than ever. From the time that I've started working in admissions in 2018, we went from 1 Ave Maria alumni working in admissions to currently 6. And many of you probably know Mary Reed. She is still here with her prayer and energy. Yes, she's approaching 11 years. So there's just a lot of passion in the admissions office, which is really exciting. And under the leadership of Vice President of Enrollment, he's our boss. We've launched Ave experiences like never before. Maybe you've seen this on our websites. And we're encouraging group visits with zeal. Previously, we had been hosting a few open house events a year, but this year we launched Ave Experience, our new branded overnight event for once a month. And then when COVID hit, we quickly pivoted and started digital Ave experiences. Libby and Mike have both been a big part of this. Mike was actually our last host, so that was awesome. And we've had over 150 students attend this. And as Chris mentioned, 68%, about 2/3 of students that visit campus end up coming here because they meet the people like you, and they're sold. And already with the digital Ave experience, we have over 38% of people have already committed. So we're excited, even during this chaotic time, to still have that hope and still give people a taste of all that Ave has to offer. And another big initiative is those group visits that I mentioned. We have a new person who's promoting this. That's like his sole job right now. There is a group in Maryland called St. Mary's Riken, and they have been bringing groups of students from this one high school in summer camp for a few years, and they have over 30 students from that one town here right now, and these students are on fire and vibrant and probably never would have been introduced to an authentic Catholic college had they not been taken on this trip with this amazing youth group leader. So we're trying to replicate that. So if you or anyone you know wants to bring students to Ave Maria, we'll house them, we'll feed them, we'll give them a great event that'll include academics. They could even do a service project with Mike. And we'll also do fun events. We could do a pool party, a bonfire of sand volleyball, connect them with students, and just give them a really good time and show them what authentic Catholic college actually is. And so definitely reach out to me. I'll put my contact in there if you're interested or know anyone who would be interested in this. Obviously, once COVID passes over, God willing. And then, as Chris mentioned, our athletics is on mission with the school more than ever before, especially with recruitment. All of our athletic coaches are now vibrant Catholics. Maybe you've heard the lacrosse coach. She is on fire, a new convert. She was at the March for Life, and she's hosting retreats for her students. The basketball coach, if you haven't heard of the Ave Pod, you need to go on there and listen to her testimony. She's really cool. Was a beach bum in California, discerned religious life, and is now leading an awesome group of girls in the basketball team. Joe Patterson, the head football coach, he's a daily masser. Coach Desme of the baseball team was in the seminary for 7 years. So the mission of athletics and bridging that Ave athlete gap is amazing to witness, and the community's coming together like never before. And especially if you come to that Alumni November event, you'll see how amazing it is to be at those night football games when the sun is going down. You've probably seen those incredible pictures, and be tailgating out with all the students and alumni. It's really awesome. And then I just wanted to go over some fast facts about updates that may have happened since you have been at Ave. We now have 32 majors. A highlight of some new majors includes our nursing program. We have over 6 mannequins, millions of dollars of equipment. Some students who visited from state schools said they were super impressed with our program, and we had more mannequins and facilities than even the state program. The students also go to 11 different sites for clinicals, so they get a broad spectrum of experience. We have marine biology, which was like a no-brainer with our location. And then, as Chris mentioned before, we have a newly launched 3+1 program with Ave Maria Law. So not only do students get great stipends to go to Ave Law, they can now take advantage of a 3+1 and expedite their law career. And then if any of you are interested in counseling, whether it be like clinical mental health counseling or a psychiatric doctorate, we have a new partnership with Ave Maria University. Any alumni gets 30% off tuition automatically, so that's also very exciting. We also have a new wing for our psychology department, second most popular major. All the psychology teachers are in that aisle, and they have new rooms to conduct their research and just a better environment for research. So that is very exciting. And as Chris mentioned, with the masses in the chapel on the dorm, we now have 5 daily masses because there's 2 in there, 3 at the church, and 45 minutes before each mass at the Our Lady of Guadalupe student dorm chapel, there are confessions. So there's a wide variety for the sacraments to be offered, and it's incredible to see the long lines, the packed rooms, and the faith is just so alive. We still have retreats multiple times in a semester, and students are participating in even broader range, from silent retreats, adventure retreats, Mother Teresa Project retreats. And as Mike has launched, we are expanding the countries we're going to on mission trips. I think we're at 11 different countries, is that right? Yeah, so 11 different countries, which is super exciting. And the Mother Teresa Projects has service hours multiple times every day, including a service trip to Miami to serve with the Missionaries of Charity there on Sundays. And it's incredible to see the students that get up at 6 a.m. to go serve religiously at this. So that is really awesome. And then we have an ever vibrant pro-life club on campus. They now have multiple times, so they go to abortion mills and pray outside of the abortion facilities, and it's incredible to see how many students get involved in that. I was able to be a chaperone on the March for Life trip this year, and they stopped at the biggest Planned Parenthood to do a Divine Mercy chaplet, and it's just incredible to see how students are taking that initiative to really live their faith out, live out in service and prayer. And then the academics, yeah, they're as strong as ever at Ave Maria, and it's incredible to be here to witness it, to witness even the incoming students, their alive faith. Right now, we're getting a lot of calls because students are at home, and they're just so passionate and ready to be here. So I know especially that letter project that Paula is launching would be really impactful for these students, especially in this time of COVID when any little encouragement is just so impactful. So that's all I have to say, so I'll hand it back over to Paula.
Cool, thank you, Claire. Thank you, Chris. So with that, why don't I open the floor for any questions? I think the settings will let you yourself. Somebody put in the chat if it doesn't, but yeah, we are ready to take any questions if anyone has any. Or we can just drink our wine. That works.
And quick comment too, I don't know, I think I kind of skipped right over what the Ave Law program is. So now Ave Maria University has an agreement with Ave Maria Law School that students can come spend 3 years at Ave undergrad and 3 years at Ave Law School and graduate with a law degree in 6 years. So that's the 3-in-1 that Claire was talking about. So instead of the normal 4 years in undergrad, 3 years in law school, you can save the money and the time and get a law degree in just 6 years. So that was fantastic, pretty exciting new program that we have with Ave Law.
That's awesome.
Is everybody muted? Do we know?
They're muted, but they can unmute themselves if they want to.
Okay.
I want to say thank you for sharing all of this with us. This is so exciting to hear about. You know, as much as like Ave is posting all these exciting updates at the time, sometimes we don't hear the nitty gritty. So Claire, especially thank you for telling us about the new programs and volunteering opportunities that students have. It's really great to hear and just reminds me of why I know that Ave is different.
Thanks, Betsy. Don't be shy. You're Ave alumni. Come on.
All right, so I guess I'll go.
Jeremiah.
It's really great to hear all the good stuff that's happening. But real talk, what are still some things that can be improved at Ave?
Well, first of all, I'd actually like to say maybe pineapples on Chris's tie. Can we-
Pineapples instead of the oratory we established is going to be the new.
Sorry, I'll mute again.
No, thanks, Dave. That was helpful.
I mean, like, obviously, I'm not trying to focus on the negative, but since we are all alumni, you know, we know that as much as we loved Ave, it wasn't a perfect place. And just curious to hear what can still be, how we can continue improving Ave.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have, unless either of you want to chime in, I have a thought on that. One of the things that President Ice coming in is really passionate about is just making sure our vision is cohesive as we move forward into this new chapter, because I think we can all kind of agree that sometimes there's confusion on the branding or the identity, not the Catholic identity, but just like, are we going to be this type of Catholic or that type of Catholic? And it's like, no, we're going to be Ave type of Catholic. And I think we are still figuring that out a little bit, which I think, to be fair, we are still a really new school. But that is one of President Ice's goals coming in, that he was telling specifically in the small meetings that he had with a bunch of the staff, that he wants to do. He wants to make sure that we move forward with that cohesive vision. I don't know if that speaks a little bit to that.
I think it is a big thing that, I guess, it is a big thing that alumni, I feel like, are starting to be more incorporated. I mean, the fact that Chris, you're on the board, and that we do have a full-time program director for the alumni, I think that speaks, that seems like a big improvement. So do you feel that we are making continuous progress with the administration as far as alumni support?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I think, yes. I think there was a little bit of a lag in the alumni relations growth for a while there. But I definitely think that everybody, all of the staff, all of the alumni that are on the staff, all of the staff in my advancement department, we are trying and willing and open to finally connect really deeply with the alumni, because I think if we're going to continue to grow as a university, we're really going to need that. And so me as the program manager is like, I'm really sitting here asking, being like, I need the alumni to be behind us and willing to, again, it doesn't mean like, yeah, as Chris said, writing the big check, but like I and our department and the university need people that are willing to send up a couple rosaries for us and write that letter to the freshmen that are scared and like help out connecting with jobs, because that's what some of us didn't get, unfortunately, when we were at Ave. And now I think it's really imperative that we give that to the future Aves.
Yeah, I can kind of jump in on two things to Jeremiah's point. I mean, the alumni outreach up to this point, I mean, non-existent, except for maybe the occasional phone call from the call center to ask us to donate money. And if you haven't really heard a peep other than that, it's probably not going to donate money, right? So the fact that, I mean, Andrea, she's on the call. She spoke at the scholarship dinner this past February. She's one of the hosts. I mean, did an outstanding job. Starting to kind of build that bridge to get us connected to the school, I think is, Paula's main job. And second, to the marketing, there was definitely a fractured marketing message. Like there was not like a cohesive, here is who we are, this is what we do. And that's kind of the big project for Kevin, the new VP of marketing, to build out just a cohesive message to, again, like I mentioned, just take the wicker basket off of Ave and really get our name out there, because we're still not as well known as we should be. I mean, we're not a brand new school anymore. We've been around for over a decade. I mean, we should be out there. So we're doing things like, for anyone who watches the Catholic talk show, Father Rich's podcast, alumni like us, we're advertising on Father Rich's podcast, using Fuzati, like using different digital programs to really get our name out there as well. So kind of those, that was the two things to your point, Jeremiah.
Did I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So obviously the marketing is closely connected to the curriculum of the school. I graduated 5 years ago. What does the core curriculum look like compared to what it did when we graduated, those of us kind of 4 to 6 years ago, that era?
Claire, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah. So there were minor changes, and I know there were a lot of people who were upset because they heard of change, and we know how important that core curriculum is. And the minor changes were, they did take out literature and combined it with Western civilizations. So now you don't take Lit Trad 1 and Lit Trad 2. You take Western civilization and culture 1 and 2. And then they implemented a composition class in place of that to better aid students in their writing. And I think that is the only change that was really made. And we're still, like, our selling point is we're a liberal arts college where students still have to take that standardized core curriculum that forms you as a whole person.
Thanks.
Yeah, great question, man.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, George.
I know we have a couple of the alumni council on the call, but I'm interested. Is there any like standard on how to join, or is there anything like opening up? And obviously, the people on this call want to be involved with the alumni and are curious to know what's going on, but. Except for you, David. We're on the call because we're curious of what's going on, but is there a way that we can have more of a voice, or even, a part of the council or different things like that? So I don't know if that's been discussed at all.
Yeah, so the Alumni Council it was chosen before I came in this role. And we have just gotten, like Chris said, a new VP of advancement. But in the very near future, that is going to be a discussion of what that's going to look like, of additions to the Alumni Council, but I don't have a direct specific answer to that right now, but we are thinking about it and going to be figuring that out in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Is everybody auto muted again, or is that just individually?
They are all still muted, but
I think everyone's just being shy.
yeah.
I guess it's kind of a follow-up to that one, but how are you finding alumni? Because it's not just for the council, but I feel like in every Facebook ugly debate I've ever seen, the alumni group, it sounds like there's a lot of people that are willing and hoping to be more involved. But it's not just with the council. It's like they're all just sitting there feeling like nobody cares about me. And Ave, it's far away. I guess, what are you doing concretely other than asking for updated information to connect those people and really like tap into what they have to offer? I mean, because you're presenting us with opportunities, which I think is great. I'm glad you did that. But I guess, what concrete steps aside from that are you taking to try to tap into?
I think the main thing right now is, letting people know that I'm here now and super willing to listen to ideas and things that the alumni do want. And also to touch back on my point about volunteering, aside from, just updating contact information, just really letting everybody know, all of you know, everyone on those Facebook posts know that we do want them to connect with the current students. And so we want that letter writing project to happen. We want networking to be available. We want to eventually have more events than we have right now. That's definitely a big thing. That'll be in the future when we get solidified with just the events that we have now. And so really it's figuring out as we go, because I'm still going to call myself new. I know I've been here for a year, but I'm still getting to know the alumni. I'm still figuring out what everyone wants and needs. But I'd say volunteering in those couple ways right now are the most concrete things. And if you have ideas, please, like, as I said, please reach out to me. And like, it's kind of a fresh start for the alumni world as we build this structure to see what our alumni want.
I will pop on just to say, not that the burden should be totally on the alumni for this or anything, but I have started taking the tact whenever I talk to an alumni who is feeling that sort of abandonment or just frustration, is just starting by asking, well, have you updated your contact information? Because the fact of the matter is, like, there's just no possible way to find people without getting that information. And it's really basically impossible to reach out without that information. So the more we can encourage our friends and the people who we are connected to give that information to the university, the easier it's going to be for the university to do some of those concrete. So that's kind of my first step with people nowadays, is to say, hey, when's the last time you updated your information? Yeah, there's a reason that you haven't been getting the emails or the mailers or whatever.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. But I mean, also to touch on that, like, it is a fair thing for whatever alumni you're talking to for also, like, I can say right now, like, I'm sorry that you felt like that. Like, that was a legitimate feeling. We have tried the Ave has tried some things in the past. It didn't always work out, but that was kind of a hole that we're trying to fix now. So it is, like, for them to feel a little bit isolated from the school, that's a legitimate thing. And like, I'm sorry that happened, but we are going to do the best we can to keep moving forward and to try to connect everybody. And I'm only one person, but I'm going to do the best I can and try to connect you with people like Claire and Chris and awesome people and all of you. And we're going to try to move forward with this.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Andrea. And I'll even take that one step further. When I heard different of my teammates, griping about this or that, I challenged them, like, well, what are you doing about it? So I heard of this idea that Paul and I talked about earlier on the call from one of my good friends who went to school up north. I said, wow, like that's an awesome idea, to bring a bunch of alumni back and have like a career event with the current students, the current team. So I called Coach Patterson. I made over 100 phone calls to reach out to all my former teammates. 22 of them ended up showing up. We picked a date, we put it on the calendar, and we just made something happen. We knew it wouldn't be perfect, but like, we just took the first step, did something, right? So I would challenge, to George's point earlier, how can you get involved? Think of something, hear an idea, and make it happen. Make the phone call and go do it. And now you have 3 people that you can reach out to if you need an extra resource.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
I'm passionate about that topic.
Also, Claire, I have a question for you. If I have this scheduled for an hour, is it going to cut us off? Because I don't.
I don't think so. I hope not.
Okay. Well, then we can keep taking a couple more questions.
Hey everyone, this is Thomas, class of 07. I feel like I'm the old man here on the call. Got some gray hair.
Awesome. Hi, Thomas.
Time I'm as old as you. Just
Old Ave.
Great to the interim campus. I don't know if everyone knows about that, but that was where I went to school. So just thought of an idea, something I've kind of come across with my job in the last couple of weeks, being teleworking and everything, and potentially an idea, and maybe it's already happened, and I haven't been on Facebook a lot to see, but as far as the alumni kind of giving back and getting more involved, maybe an idea could be alumni, if they want to take a video of themselves, kind of explain what they're doing after they've graduated, what their job is, how their faith has impacted that, particularly in this time of COVID, and maybe a while before we can all get together again. So something that may kind of, kill two birds with one stone, where we can get the alumni involved and also have something for the incoming freshmen and those still at school to kind of give them a boost of what they could do after they get out.
Yeah, no, thank you, Thomas. We are doing something similar right now. I don't know if you've seen our emails. If not, my email's in the chat. Send me your updated email. But we've been doing these after Ave emails. It's been more geared toward words of encouragement for the community or like something artistic. But I think it's a really good idea to think about maybe like introduction videos of our alumni, because it's really nice, especially for students, to see a face attached to what alumni are doing now. So I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, Paula, write that idea down.
I will. I have a notebook.
And to follow up on that, what you said, Thomas, as the director of the Mother Teresa Project, when kids are coming to me and they're saying, why should I join or what should I do here? What would really be nice for me to have in my back pocket is to show them, here are some kids that graduated as Mother Teresa scholars, and this is what they're doing with their life. Like, this is how they succeeded. This is how they're paying it forward. So what can we concretely do as alumni? I think it's like succeed in our careers, like really commit to our Catholic lifestyle, really commit to our families and our vocations, and then reach back out to Paula and reach back out to Claire or just the university in general and let them know that, hey, this is what I'm doing. So I can have that so we can have that in our arsenal. When a kid comes up and says, I want to join finance, or I'm thinking about being an advisor, I'm like, the first person that comes to my head is, oh, let me tell you about Chris Fahey. Like, he came here, he was an athlete, and now he's working with Edward Jones. Like, you can follow in those same footsteps. So it's just to have those things in our back, because we never know what kids are going to come in, as working a lot with parents, and when they come up, they're like, oh, the Mother Teresa Project, like, that's different. Like, how does it work out? And to really show them, this is the final product. Like, as alumni, we're the final product. And if we can show a excellent final product to the parents, then we just gave ourselves an amazing competitive advantage that's really going to sell the school. And I think that's how we could be the best help, is succeed in your career, like strive to be excellent in your career, and then reach back out. Because I don't think anybody's going out in their career and like, I'm going to be bad today. But like, we're all trying to be good, right? We're all fighting the good fight. But let like Paula know, like, and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, if you know what industry you're working in or things like that, we can really just bridge those gaps between the incoming kids and the people that are out in the workforce. So
seriously, imagine if you had a library of alumni that you could pull up their video, to Thomas's point, and show, here are 15 different students who were a history major, and here's what they're all doing now. Like, that is brilliant.
Right. Yeah. I
That's
remember,
a great idea. I love that.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that's awesome, because there's so many people go to Ave and they're like, all right, I got a theology degree. What am I going to do? What am I going to do, in the real world? And like, I got a theology degree, and I'm not, I'm using theology in my church and stuff like that. But, I'm also in the corporate world. So it's a cool way to, to tie into those kids that are coming in, who are so excited to go to a school like Ave Maria, but are not sure. I think I changed my major at least 5 or 6 times, like my freshman year. So I think that would be a great idea. And excuse Matthew, as he's just.
Matthew.
And just to also chime in, admissions would absolutely love that, because one of the most popular questions is, what are your alumni up to? And in just little stories really make an impact and can sell the parents that are on, is this a legit school?
Yeah. I remember when I going through Ave, there was one alumni who kind of paved the way, particularly in the Washington DC internship field after he had graduated, and that was the one guy that a lot of us had looked up to as far as what we could do after we graduated.
Are you talking about Jose?
Yeah, Jose. And I don't know if it was recorded, but I came back 2015 when Zach Crockett was the coordinator, and and spoke, and even to have something like that, maybe, kind of looking into the future as far as the alumni events, to kind of, even having something recorded and uploaded, I think, I'm sure that's happening. I think can be great for someone to kind of go back and see what someone's done it, even a couple years before. So
I have a thing to say. I know that the biology department used to have a map, and they had like different colored pins all over the map that showed where alumni had been accepted to like medical school, veterinary school, dental school, and then like other health science graduate programs. And it was really cool as a student to be able to like go down the hallway and look at that map and see like where people who had gone through the biology department had actually like found success. I think it was probably like just a pocket project of Dr. Poliska or like one of the professors, but I didn't know if admissions or alumni would be interested in having that kind of like visual. And you could do it like department specific if you wanted to like kind of make it a specific interest for the students who have like particular fields of study. But I just thought I'd share that idea.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know the alumni office before me had something similar, but that hasn't been a project I've been looking into, but that's a really good idea.
I'm gonna step up and make a suggestion. If you would like to get involved, I would suggest, obviously the video is really awesome. Some people don't like to be that active, but if you're into giving advice, I think department specific, asking to have your name put on a list. So like I was a music major, and it would have been awesome to have like a list of people that I could have reached out to. And like Chris has talked to three guys?
Yeah, at least half a dozen
who
guys.
were seniors at Ave, and they were considering maybe going into financial advising. I don't even know how they got his name, but it would be awesome to have a list specifically for seniors, but anybody could really access it within the major and say like, these people are available to talk to. Here's what they're doing. If you would like to reach out to them for either a resource or a recommendation letter or something, I think that would be a really awesome concrete way, like I think Isabella said, concrete way of us interacting with current students and really offering actual help. Videos are really cool. I totally am behind that, but I think like I would have loved to sit down and have coffee with somebody if they were local, or sit down in a Zoom chat and say, how did you do this? Like I recorded my own music, and it would be awesome to be able to give that advice to somebody else. Like, okay, here's what I would not do, and here's what I would do, I think that's a really good tool in the arsenal. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
I have a question. I know a couple of years ago there was a request for alumni in different cities to kind of step up and kind of take point on a kind of regional alumni remote community. So for example, I was at the time living in Minneapolis. There were requests for anybody living in Minnesota or Minneapolis to kind of reach out to other people that they knew in the area and form a little bit of an alumni network in that city, so that graduating seniors could have a bit of a network to turn to in their individual cities. Is that something that's still developing? Was that kind of abandoned? Is that an idea that we might want to revisit?
So that, again, it was before I had this role, and I discussed it as soon as I got in, because it was still kind of there when I was there with my supervisor at the time. And just where we were / kind of still are, a big regional presence project like that didn't quite make sense. And so we didn't pick it up at the time. I would love to start brainstorming about regional ideas. And again, we just got a new VP in. So like all of these ideas, like adding to the Alumni Council, regional presence, like those are things we can start talking about again. It's going to look different than what that original idea was, just because we are trying to stop the process of promising certain things and then it not working. Like I don't want to like throw any projects under the bus, but just to make sure that we're moving at an appropriate pace. But yes, I would love to make a regional presence happen. So Betsy, if you want to give me a call sometime.
Well, and obviously it's going to be really dependent on what alumni are going to be willing to do. So people who are asking, what can I do? This was something that was offered to us. And I mean, I know I didn't take advantage of it because it does seem like a large responsibility. So.
But I would even challenge all of us, these reunions or these alumni gatherings don't have to be these big formal affairs. I know that I've been in Philly now for coming up on 9 years, and every time I do hear about someone moving into the area, either someone else tells them I'm here, or that just through the young Catholic circle end up meeting. And then Lillian Fallon and Chanel Shaw moved to Philly a few months ago, and we just ended up getting brunch together. They were well after my time, but just to make those casual connections, go out for brunch or something, and to start building your local network that way.
Yeah.
Two things, sorry, but two things that come to mind is one with the Zoom age we're living, like, would it be fun to try to get regular episodes like this where we're not just talking about something, but just getting the alumni to talk to each other and catch up with each other?
I mean, is that something you all would be interested in? Because
yes, I want to talk to people.
Like, I feel like when you feel so far away from Ave, or the people who are very I'm not one of the people who are very angry at Ave, but I really am not, but there are people who are, and I feel like if we could just connect with our friends and see what everybody else is doing, that is where we've been, kind of, you might even be able to have more people volunteer because they feel connected with the community again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's a really
and
good
then
idea.
the other thing for regional is more for admissions, but I did actually sign up to do all those things, but I got a few letters, but then I never really heard concretely more, and so I'd be like, yeah, let me know, and then we never heard how to help. But I don't know if you guys already have this, you might, but having pardon my little speech, but
oh no, it's amazing.
Having like a directory of alumni that are not necessarily just meeting with each other here, but for example, when you have students from St. Louis who are looking into the university, like, you could connect them with us and I could meet with them, you know what I mean? And I could give them my experience on a coffee date here in St. Louis before they even set, foot in campus. Sorry.
Do you mean, Isabel, a directory to give out to the students? Because
so more like admissions saying, would you like to talk to someone who lives where you live? And then we could meet with them. Like, you could make like a fall time in St. Louis where like an alumni or two show up to this event, and you can actually put a face to the people that graduated from the university you're considering, you know what I mean?
Yeah. On the note, sorry, go ahead, Andrea.
Oh, I was going to ask Claire. I know when I was a student, the admissions counselors were sort of assigned regionally, and I don't know if that's true. I mean, that had been a difficulty for me that I've talked about this, but is that when I meet students who I talk to about, like high school students who I talk to about Ave Maria, I don't even know, I don't know how to contact someone in admissions and say, hey, I have this student, can you connect with them? Can you get them all the information? Like, I just don't know where to go next when I've made that connection already with a student. So it would be even helpful to know, for the alumni to know what to do when we know someone who's interested.
No, those are both awesome things. And Isabel, first to your point, yeah, we were starting to reach out to alumni, and then it kind of had a fall through, but we're hoping to revamp that. So thank you for your willingness, and we definitely would love to reconnect about your idea. I'll be talking to my supervisor too about how we can better connect that, and once we have better alumni information, we'll be better able to map that out. And then Andrea, to your point, admissions has been under new leadership and like doing a lot of innovative things, and one of them is we are assigned people round robin, and so I can definitely understand why it's hard to find someone to connect like someone to, once you have that, like, oh wow, they're interested in Ave. And we're getting a new website soon, which should help that, because our website is a little bit like layers deep. But right now our contact is on there. If you call the main line, they should be able to connect us, but yeah, a personal connection would definitely be better. So if you go to like one of the admissions counselors and just reach out to them personally, like we would be all over that.
Email Claire. Her email's in the chat.
Yes, please.
Don't know where to go.
Just adding on to, I think what Regina said earlier and Isabel, like, yeah, having a directory, just of knowing what people are doing or where they are, like just sourcing from like LinkedIn or somewhere, it's probably like the best bet to like get more alumni engagement, especially with like current students, because, it's like one thing, I don't think a lot of people would like raise their hand and be like, oh, I'd be willing to talk to anyone. But, if there was someone interested or would ask, then you would do that. Like I'd be happy to, but it's like, it's just kind of, I don't think like, there's 15 people here, versus all the alumni, like just would probably be easier to source if you just source it on
We
the
are
front end.
actually about to, it'll go out in the summer newsletter, but officially announce an alumni directory. So it'll just be a place for you to have a profile, be able to kind of like search people, put what information you want for other alumni to be able to see and find you, find an email. I guess you all are talking more along the lines of a directory to connect the current students with the alumni. Is that?
Well, yeah, like I it's just, I don't think like a lot of people are gonna like come back to Ave and volunteer to like be available for informational interviews or something, where that's something like a ton of people would be willing to do. Just even like out of like hubris more than anything. Like it's like it's not, few people aren't going to be, not a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I'm really successful, like let me help people. Like, but if you're asked, like,
You got all the time. What are you talking about?
Hey, Paula, I know you're going to have to piggyback off of what Nate said, but can you, when you're filtering down the document and with all the names of everyone, can we like filter by major too? So we can like search by major if you're like a student who's searching like economics major or humanities or whatever, you can filter through that.
On this new directory that we're all brainstorming right now, or on the, I think search by.
I think that would be an idea, at least to an option.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Because I know it would have helped me a lot when I was an undergrad, being like, okay, who had these like paths and how can I learn from them? I think that would have been really
that all makes sense. And building on that, I don't know if there's been talk yet of, and I know this is more about alumni than about current students, but for the current students' benefits, sharing this list with career services to the extent that the office is growing or active. I know from my graduate school, we have a directory where, certain, for alumni who practice law in a certain area, we volunteer ourselves to speak with current students who are interested in that area. And I take calls all the time from current students who want to talk about the practice and want to talk about connections. So, and that's all coordinated through our career services office. So if we want to work with them, that might also be a good use of resources for current students.
No, that's awesome. And I know career services has been really hoping to start engaging with alumni as well, to get all of those connections going.
I will say, Paula, as you know, I reached out with career services recently, but it was almost impossible to find them on the website. So it'd be just a note. It'd be nice to be able to go to the website and find career services.
I will say that with website stuff, from the marketing department standpoint, I would ask for everyone's patience, just because we just got a new VP in and they are starting to figure out some of the changes. And I know the website change is definitely in there, but yeah, thank you. Career services being available is very important. So I will I will let them know about that.
I
Yeah.
have a question for you, Paula. What are you
Yes,
most
George.
excited for next year for alumni?
Reunion. I really wanted it to happen this year. So yeah, next year's reunion. I'm excited to have people back for that.
I have a quick question about the reunion, actually. Is there any
Yeah.
possibility of doing some sort of like virtual component? I live in Southern California and I'm not going to make it out to Florida almost ever. So it's just expensive. It's a long way. It's lots of time off of work. Like, I guess part of my feelings are that like I feel a little like just physically distant, right, from everything going on. Like I'd love to come back and be on panels. I'd love to be involved, but like, is there a possibility of doing more virtual stuff?
Yeah, for sure. We haven't hashed out all the details of next year's reunion yet, but knowing that and knowing that a lot of our alumni are far away but do still want to be involved, I think that's definitely something that we should incorporate. Actually, Andrea, would you talk about real quick your idea? So we, on campus for reunion this year before it got canceled, we're going to do Are You Smarter Than a Freshman? And Andrea was actually going to try to do a remote version of it, like in her area. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I've been trying for so long to get, there are a lot of alumni who live within like an hour of me, actually a lot in my city now. And we've been trying to get together, and first one of my kids got pink eye and I had to cancel the first time, and then coronavirus happened and everything, no one's allowed to come to my house anymore. But we have been trying to get together, and actually even before Ave started having the reunion Annunciation weekend, I already was thinking, oh, that's kind of a nice fitting time to try to just get alumni together in my area. So I was down for the scholarship dinner this year and knew I wouldn't be able to go both times for both the scholarship dinner and the reunion. So I thought of trying to just get people together at my house to either stream the inauguration that was going to be happening this year but didn't, or just have everybody over to have like dinner or whatever and drinks and try to play along with Are You Smarter Than a Freshman? So that's the kind of thing that I think we can start trying to do more of, is think about how the plans that are happening. And another thing that we did in the fall was the reunion weekend, which is when I was supposed to have everyone over, but one of my kids had pink eye. They did service projects at the homecoming event, and I was going to have everyone over to my house to work on a service project together as a sort of like remote version of participating. So that's something that we have definitely talked about. And so depending on what the plans look like for this year's homecoming and reunion, the two big alumni events, we definitely will be thinking about how we can sort of remotely participate. Because I'm like you, Megan, like it's great if I can get to Florida once a year, but I'm definitely never going to make it more than once, like with kids and work and costs. Like it's just not going to happen. And I know so many people that that's true for. So definitely trying to think of more ways that we can make those connections where we already are, so that we can still feel sort of connected to the university without maybe having to be there in person.
Yeah.
And everyone's so much more used to those things now that everything is remote.
But yeah, that's a really good idea, Megan. Thank you, Andrea. The other thing I will say is that knowing our alumni demographic, I and our department want to make sure that we are making everything family friendly, and just making sure everyone feels welcome to bring all their kids to lots of events and make sure we're supporting them in whatever ways we can with that. But yeah, so that was one more question. Yes, does anyone have any burning questions?
I
do.
Oh, two of them.
Sorry, Matthew. Where's Emma?
Oh, she's putting our kid to bed.
Okay,
but,
that was my burning question. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's important.
And if this has been answered already, just stop me and I'll talk to someone offline. But I was going to ask kind of on what you were just discussing with Andrea's regional alumni get together. Is there anything in the works for or any plans for regional alumni networks. I know we've kind of had an informal one here in Washington, D.C. for a number of years. Shout out to Dave Bathon and others, but I'm wondering if there's anything driven by, main campus to establish these alumni networks, or if it's more informal, or if there's any plan there.
Yeah, so I touched on this a little bit with Betsy's question about the previous ambassador program that had started before my time, and then it just wasn't the right time when I came on to keep going with that as a focus. But now that we have a new VP, that is one of the things that I want to start looking at. But we also want to start slowly with it to make sure we can live up to the promises of regional things with our alumni and being able to organize it and all of that good stuff. So yes, it is definitely on our radar. I don't know what that looks like quite yet, but we definitely want to get that started at some point.
Paula, that directory that you're talking about, the Ave or the alumni directory that's for alumni, I think that would be super helpful. And then I think maybe there would just have to be someone that takes the initiative of potentially creating a regional based on that directory, and maybe inviting people and then saying, hey, do you guys know other people in the area, and we can create something based on that. I think, Matt, your question was how can alumni hang out? And obviously helping students, that's cool too, but I agree. I love getting together with other alumni. So I think that directory that you're talking about will help a lot with that.
Yeah.
And just to build off that for a second, a lot of the hanging out's good too, but what we're doing when alumni are getting together, especially in DC, we're networking, we're getting to know other alumni, we're strengthening the network.
That's all you do in DC is network.
That's all we do in DC. Thank you, Jeremiah. We miss you. Come back down and visit. But we're also creating an environment for graduating seniors who can come in and when we're networked well within the areas that we're in, we're able to better promote Ave students and find them jobs and bring them into areas and make them feel at home and introduce them to even faith communities locally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's great, Dave.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome, and I think you should do that locally. But I think that's what I would do with Zoom in this time of coronavirus too, just because there are so many people doing so many things all over the country that I would love to hear what everybody else is doing, but I'm not in DC. I'm really I'm not in Chicago. You know what I mean? And I can't have access to those local things, which I think should still happen. But there might be other people who are in the same industry that I'm in, but maybe they live in Minnesota and I have no idea. And we could make professional connections even though it's over Zoom. You know what I mean? You could do general nights. You could do 09 to 2013 and 2014 to 20 whatever, to try to get people interested to talk to people that they were at Ave at the same time. Or you could do all philosophy majors or whatever, biology majors, because then you're going to get professional networks of people who are working in the health sciences. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, and I think again, it will take some figuring out, speaking with the new VP, but I think this can be a both and doesn't have to be one or the other. It's just going to depend on what can come first, kind of the chicken and the egg, and how we're going to move forward with all that. But I think they're both really important ideas.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, guys. Please keep in touch. Thank you so much for coming to this. I very much appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Claire. And please reach out to me if you have any more questions or want to talk more about what we were talking about tonight. Again, my email's in the chat, as is Claire's, if you want to go take that down real quick. But cheers to you all, and cheers to Ave.
Thank you all for being on the call.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Miss you.
God bless.